Mm-mm-mm.
Hey, good evening, and welcome to the Power of Now. I'm Coach Mitchell.
And I'm Coach Darren. We are
Together,
glad to
we
be
are
back.
MD Coaching and Consulting. Listen, we are so happy to be back before you this evening. I know it's been a couple of weeks, but life, as they say, be lifing, and we have missed being in front of you guys, bringing you topics that we hope will improve not just your life, but to get your mind thinking and moving, helping to move you forward. Tonight, we're
Yeah.
going to be talking about where is your focus? Where is your focus? What are you focusing on, Coach?
Yes. Now, we know what it means to focus in the moment. Now, and we always say that you want to stay in the present moment. Now, that's where you want to focus. But we also want to focus on the bigger picture. You know, so when someone says focus, we can think about if you're doing something, you focus on it. But how about on a life scale? Where's your focus? And it's really important now because we are you know, um, flooded with distractions
Absolutely.
every day. As they say, you pick up your phone and send a text to someone, and you end up getting all of these alerts. And if they're news alerts, you end up going down that rabbit hole, which then it just sidetracks you. It's a big distraction, and after a while, you go day in day out responding to distractions. So again, we're going to ask you, where is your focus, and why is it important? Mhm.
I
Because
like Coach.
go ahead.
I think I hope I'm not giving feedback because it sounds like I am, but I like the phrase of what you focus on, where your attention goes,
Your energy
your
flows.
energy flows. So
Yes,
I think it's so apropos around this topic because, like you said, it's not just focusing on the abstract, but what are you focusing on in life? And whatever we're focusing on, and not just in this moment, but we seem to do that. We seem to have a very short-sighted perspective of life. And if we don't expand our focus, then we are going to find ourselves in a posture and position of complacency and a lack of upward and or forward mobility, right?
absolutely. Uh, and we already tend to lose our focus as we get older, and as Coach Mitchell, as you said earlier, when life starts lifing, it's going to bring some major distractions to us, and we just basically we'll go off course. We'll go off course with our goals, our dreams, our health, our relationships, all of the things that are meaningful to us will slide down, you know, our priority list because we're not doing things that we've spoken about many times before. We're not living intentionally, and therefore we're constantly being distracted. And there is, you know, for those who believe in conspiracies, well, here's one. It's intentionally done to dumb you down and to keep you distracted with things that really do not matter to you. So that's why you have to remain focused. And just think about it. Have you ever known a person that was focused on something? Sometimes you might have felt offended or annoyed when they weren't available. They didn't want to do the things that you wanted to do because they said, nope, I got practice. I got this. I got that. They didn't let the distractions derail them.
Exactly. And, as you mentioned, distractions, those things that, I mean, social media is the biggest form that we can think of that we look at it for entertainment purposes, but how many hours can you get caught up in just a thread or your
Yes.
news feed? Because that constantly cultivates an environment of complacency
Hmm.
and lack of productivity. Because if you're just constantly on any social media platform, whether you're a spectator or you're participating in things that are really insignificant and don't really have any value that's added to your life one way or the other, how much time is really wasted
Hmm.
in spending hours upon hours? And you don't even have to track it. Your phone can track it for you.
Yes.
If you just look at the number of hours, I know one week I deliberately spent more time on social media than I normally do, just so I could see at the end of the week how much mindless time I was spending and not putting that energy into something more productive, like any one of my three businesses. So I could have been writing,
Mhm.
I could have been blogging, I could have been creating content for my websites, and I wasn't doing that. So, it's a lot to be said about intentionality and what we're
Mhm.
really focusing on and where we put our attention.
Yes. Mhm. Uh, so you know
And
what? Go ahead. Continue.
no, I was just going to say, and, for those that drop in, please feel free to engage, ask questions, participate in the conversation, because we really love to hear your perspective and even what you're doing as far as, what you may be doing now to cultivate um, a productive environment for yourself and maybe those around you. And also let us know whether or not our audio is is okay.
Now if you think back through your life and you ask yourself, have you ever accomplished anything meaningful? Mhm. Whether it's furthering your education, opening a business, if it's health related, pretty much whatever it was. First, you had to have a vision for what you want the outcome to be, and then you basically focused on it. You made it a priority, and just kind of think about it. One of the things later in life that we end up, one of our challenges is usually related to health, and one of them is usually a common thing is weight. And for those who've never ever, went through the process of intentionally losing weight, you know how hard you had to focus. And when you lost that focus, you end up doing things that are detrimental to your desired vision. So that's a major component, of say life. But you're not just expanded to overall. You know, we get into these routines. Do you get up every morning? You go through your morning routine. You go to work. You come back from work. You go through your evening routine, day after day after day, and then you ask yourself, what are you accomplishing that's meaningful to you? And is it aligned with, yeah, I'm saying meaningful, and does it have purpose to you? Or are you just going through the motions? Because the hard stuff, the meaningful stuff, all takes focus. And maybe that's why we tend to just, ignore it and just kind of meander through life.
Yeah, and that focus comes down to discipline. What
Absolutely.
are you willing to sacrifice in order to move with intentionality and focus on the things that really matter, that really,
Mhm.
really matter? Because, I can think of five things off the top that if I really focused on it, I wouldn't have time for empty conversations, meaningless, you know, scrolling on any social media platform. Um, and it would be exhausting, but it would be working with intentionality and focusing on my long term versus the immediate short term. As I
Yes.
said, I like to say, your long term gain is worth the short time pain. And that short
Mm.
time pain is, if we sat and we churned through that vision and worked the details of what that vision might look like, that's that short term pain, because it
Hmm.
will take less time to develop your plan and your strategy to get to your long term vision versus not doing anything or putting forth that effort or the focus that's required, that's going to cause a huge gap of time, space, and resources that are wasted. So it's always easier, although hard, to get that short term, spend that short term in pain, your season of planting, your season of sowing, so that you can get to the ultimate goal, which is that harvest, that vision that you really have in your mind.
Absolutely. Mhm. Because even if if someone asks you the question, mhm, how do you see the rest of your life playing out, or how do you want to see the rest of your life playing out? Would you have an answer, or would you just go, I don't know, I mean, we could pretty much say, Coach Mitchell, most people in our age bracket are either retired or retiring. And then you ask people, what do you plan to do after retiring? Oh, I don't know. Oh,
Yeah,
you lost focus. You spent, 20, 30, maybe even 40 years giving your attention. And I don't mean to be harsh, but giving your attention to some place that doesn't really care about you. Mhm.
that's the
But now that,
reality. It's not
yeah,
harsh, but that's the reality, because
no.
we spend decades
Mhm.
focusing on someone else, cultivating someone else's vision
Yes,
and
absolutely.
developing their dreams, that we forget about ours.
Mhm.
So it's not harsh, it's the reality of it all.
Mhm. And then we get caught where you start to make, I'm gonna say, excuses, start to rationalize why you're putting this off. Mhm. The classic example is, when your kids get in school, okay, they're in school. Well, when they become older, maybe in high school, then college, when they
Hmm.
move out, you keep pushing things off that at one point in time mattered to you. So again, this is the time where let's say before you can resolve anything, you first must become aware of it. Awareness is the key. Mhm. So you ask yourself, when was the last time you thought about things that mattered to you? When was the last time you've given focus to things that matter to you? What are your goals? And you always should have goals, regardless of how old you are. Goals aren't something for people just coming, you know, out of college. You should always
Right.
have something that you're aspiring to. You know, uh, I have a friend who retired a few years ago, and we were supposed to get together to, do something that say he wanted to do, but that required work. And honestly, I don't think he was ready to do the work. He showed up for his job for years, did well. But I'll be perfectly honest with you, that's not work because it's laid out for you. You're being told what to do. You're being told what's expected of you. Some people can get right into a routine and you just go with it. Now is the time where you got to start to think. You got to put things together. He said, okay, you know what? Yeah, I'm retiring in January. Okay. Waited. January came. Well, I'm gonna take some time, for the transition. And I knew where this was going, but I appeased him. Okay, you know. And he got caught into playing, golf. That was his thing, several days a week playing golf. But then he started to get tired of it because golf will not fulfill your purpose. So you ask
So
yourself,
the take
yeah. So again, you got to have something meaningful. There's a saying that the you know some the two days where you're most vulnerable to dying is the day after your birth because your body has not developed all of the immunities it needs, and the day after you retire because that second one, the day after you retire, you've lost purpose for your day, and you're going to notice it. Your body's going to notice it. Everything's like, what do I do with myself? You have
yeah.
no focus.
I think the key takeaway from that is that he showed up for others, for that organization, but he failed to show up for himself.
Himself, absolutely.
Mhm.
And that's
And
one of my
how
saying.
often do we do that?
Yes, that is one of it's one of my sayings and also one of my pet peeves is that what people you got to start showing up. There is plenty of work to do, things to be done. You got to stop complaining about issues and start to show up. Because I think I may have told you, uh, Coach Miss Mitchell, that people, I stopped responding to text messages where people send something that would get you all riled up. It might be a social issue. I stopped responding because it's like, you know what? I'm gonna respond. We'll get into a heated, discussion about, oh God, this has got to change, blah blah blah, and then this person never moves. Yeah, and that's part of showing up. What are you doing to take action? So where's your focus really? Hmm? Your focus is just I'm
Mhm.
on social media and I want to look like No, let me rephrase that. What it is, it's a dopamine hit for you. It's a brief dopamine hit where you get all riled up over something that you're not going to do anything about. So to protect my space and my energy, I had to kind of just ignore it.
But
So
you have keyboard bandits who they can sit behind the keyboard and comment on these social issues or whatever posts may be coming out. But when it's time to take action, that call to action, you can't even find them.
right,
You can't even find them. And the call to action doesn't mean you have to be out marching with a petition. It could be simply writing your congressman. It could be simply saying to the neighborhood kid, no, you shouldn't be trespassing on that person's property. It could be saying to someone close to you, someone that you love, you shouldn't be doing that. It's detrimental to your health. I'm here for you, to encourage and empower them. But people don't do that.
right.
People don't do that when it comes time to stand up for not just what's right, but to help someone else. And you've probably said it before, you've heard it before. Sick people can't help sick people,
Right.
right? So there's, you're in a disease state, a state of dis-ease. And if you're in a disease state, then you really can't help anyone else. And until you start showing up for yourself to get that healing, whether it's physical, literal, or figuratively speaking, then you're never going to be in a position to get to even understanding what you should be focusing on, let alone knowing how to get there.
Because I've encouraged people when you talk about sick people can't help sick people. I've encouraged people that I know who are sick, as I say, and I'm like, you know, being healthy is not the absence of disease. Mhm. So some people think, well, I don't have a disease, I must be healthy. No, all right. Most people are unhealthy, but I'm right now talking about people who have known issues, and yet they don't show up to things that could possibly lead them to being healthy. They have opted for the easy thing. And by the way, if you really were engaged and you did your own research, you will find that you are on a losing path if you are popping pills. I will say that emphatically. All you got to do is do your research. Not only are you poisoning your body, the researchers say you are poisoning our water systems because of the toxicity from the pharmaceuticals. So if you want to be healthy, if you want to pop off and talk some junk, get your ass healthy first. But you can't be out here, and I always say this too. I say it to people in my age group, who still selling wolf tickets in your 60s. Man, you ain't gonna beat nobody's butt. You ain't been in the fight in 40 years. You're unhealthy. You can't move, but yet you selling wolf tickets. Technically, at this age, you should be focusing on how to outthink someone. Your wisdom should be your key, not
The
your
wit should
fist.
be the key.
Yeah. You're still talking about what you going to do to somebody. Man,
A
anyway.
dislocated shoulder or a dislocated knee doesn't heal as quickly in your 60s as
No.
it did when you were 16.
So you want to think about what's your focus. And if your focus was, I'm trying to live the best life possible, you wouldn't allow yourself to get deviated, to get derailed. I apologize, get derailed by all the nonsense because you're focused. And again, if you just want to look at it, think about someone who is say an expert in, say, self-defense. They don't engage in self-defense because they become a master. They realize that's not what I want to do. I'm capable, but it's not what I want to do. So you ask yourself again, where's my focus? Because my focus will drive my intentions, it will drive my priorities, my expectations, and my behavior. Because one thing, years ago when I was teaching at college, one of the things I taught was strategy, and I used to explain to students, there's this proposed strategy that many corporations do, and then there's this actual strategy. And all you got to do is look at where they apply their resources. I don't care what all the corporate speak is, all the posters they put up. And the example I used to give, they're talking about, we invest in our employees, but the budget for development is getting, reduced every year, which means that's not part of your strategy. So what I say to people is, all you gotta do is look at how you utilize your resources, your time. And since social media became a thing, one of the things I say, I can look at how the posts that people respond to. That lets me know their state of consciousness. It lets me know their focus. They respond to the garbage, but they don't respond to we'll say the intellectual.
Right, because those garbage or, those posts that are mainly entertainment, and a lot of it is, again, to distract. It's designed to distract. It does not require any effort. It doesn't require any work. It doesn't require any thought on anyone's part. And the more you can become distracted, the more you can get, the more distracted you get, the further from your vision, your dreams you get. Because for every day that you spend in frivolous BS, it puts you further and further away from your dreams.
Yes. John Maxwell has a saying, he said, no one accidentally walked up a flight of stairs. No, to get up a flight of stairs, you have to be intentional. Coming down could be accidental. And you think about anything in life, to go downward, you could do that by doing nothing. Your health goes downward by doing nothing. Your career goes downward. Don't do anything about it. But everything that requires, that has upward motion requires intent. It requires focus. Mhm. Now, yeah, coming downstairs requires focus, but you know, even going up the stairs requires focus. Sometimes has anybody ever fell up a flight of stairs, like tripped because you weren't focused? Uh, mhm. But it
Exactly.
has to be intentional.
And if you do happen to fall upwards,
Mhm.
up a flight of stairs, as you're going up a flight of stairs, you are what, in essence, going down. You were distracted and you're going down, right?
Mhm.
So if we're not focusing, if we take our eyes off of the destination or the goals that we set for ourselves, we can easily become distracted and have setbacks.
Yes. Mhm.
But there's
So
good news on the opposite side of this, that if we begin to focus on the positive, start to put in the effort and the work, even engage others who are like-minded, we can definitely get back on track. It's par for the course when you
absolutely.
start to act intentional, right?
Yep.
So
So so what are your thoughts on your recommendation for where do people start? Now, just before you answer, all right, I just want to put this out there. When people have asked me that question, where do I start? I always give them this first answer. First answer is you start right from where you are because you can't start from any place else.
that's
Mhm.
right.
Because if you go over there and you start right from where you are. You go over there and
That's right.
you start right from where you are. So you start from where
Right.
you are, which is right here, right now. Now, given that, if you're in the now, what are some of the things that you might recommend to someone to
I,
get back on track?
I would say to start with some really small incremental steps by setting goals, not trying to accomplish everything all at once. So, for example, if you're working on starting a business, take it in bite-sized pieces. Write out your whatever your framework is for your business. Have you registered it? Do you know who your target audience is? I would say take it in small steps. And that's just business, but it could be anything, whatever your vision is. If it's to get into better shape, start off by walking 30 minutes or 15 minutes around the block. And if that's too much for you, start walking 5 or 10 minutes around your house, or go out into the yard, your backyard, do a couple of jumping jacks. Start, like you said, right where you are, but small steps. And each day increase, in incremental steps, increase adding another objective and checking that off your list.
Mhm.
What about you, coach?
Yeah, I probably say depending on if your life is totally out of what you might feel is out of control, nothing seems to be flowing. It start with your vision, just writing out how would you like what is your desire for your life, and then take your advice and then start working on certain parts of your life. Now, for some people, they can do the work on the total transformation. For some people, that's how their mind works. I'm gonna do everything at once. If that's where you are and you're that type of person, then go for it. Because here's the other thing that I really want to stress to people is there is no one right way to anything. Mhm.
Right.
It's the way that works for you to move you. And I'm not talking about from a moral perspective, all right? I'm talking about from a logistics, practical, methodical way. You, you adhere to certain principles, but you want to develop your own methods.
Yep.
So
And
I was like, so what we're sharing, we're giving you things to get you started, You then modify, you adjust, whatever it might be, that, in a manner that's going to work for you. Go ahead, Coach Mitchell.
Absolutely. And I would say also that is so key in writing it down, because once you see
Mhm.
it, it becomes real.
Mhm.
And then you can expound upon it. You can just continue to work off of what you've written. And that's why journaling is important. I would say also that would be one of the pieces of advice I would give to someone, is to start journaling. So if you're not
Mhm.
able, once you set in your mind, I have to make a change, because you have to be ready to make that change. Whatever it might be, you have to be ready for it, whether, it's making a lifestyle change, whether it's getting, a new job, whatever it might be, you have to be ready to do it. Whether it's breaking a bad habit, you have to be ready to do it. And I would say if you're journaling, the best motivator for me is when I look back over the pages of my journal and I'm like, oh gosh, I wrote this last year and I haven't even started. Let me at least start working on this to get something done and achieved in that particular area. So when I see it versus me thinking it or just saying it, I am not accountable to me. I don't hold myself accountable. But if I go back and I read something that I've written, I'm convicted immediately, and I hold myself accountable for achieving that particular task, whatever it might be,
Yes. Mhm.
or trying to strive for that goal, whatever it might be. So,
Yep.
I think that's another good tip and a great habit to pick up, is to start journaling, writing it out.
Now, here's something where I've done both, and but I will say that there's a science behind writing it versus typing it. Mhm. There's something about the connection between holding, say, a pencil, which is more so than a pen, on a piece of paper. Why? Because a pencil and paper are both natural products. You are connected. Mhm. You're really connected to the process, whereas typing on a computer is not the same. Mhm. You don't get the same, I'm gonna say, vibration, than when you
The
actually are
energy is
writing.
different.
Yes. Uh, but I would I would say use the computer as opposed to not doing anything at all. Mhm. So again, it's the modification. I see people respond on social media. I look at a lot of uh, personal, professional, health and wellness. Uh, you know, I follow a lot of people in that space, and I find it interesting when someone will post something, how people will automatically go, "Well, I can't do that." You know, I saw a post the other day where it was recommending, like 7 things you want to do before 7 a.m. And it was unbelievable the negative response to this video clip. And I just put, do what you can.
Right.
If you if your hours don't allow you to get up before 7, first of all, I said, you know what? Yeah, you got to get up a little bit earlier. That's the sacrifice that you mentioned. You want something, you got to give up something. It's just the way of the universe. But if you can't do all 7, do 2, do 1. But just sitting there as a spectator complaining about the game. Do you want to get in or not? But this is the focus. You know what? You're
Those are
focusing
the
on
most
why you
important
can't.
part of
Yes. So I'm
yeah.
challenging people. Just start. Start right from where you are. You don't have to, uh, do everything at once. You just want to get started. And if it's important to you, if this is where your focus is, this is where your intentions will be. you will find a way. You just get started. So I say, for people, just give it real thought. What what part of your life do you want to change? You want to overhaul everything? On the iamwell.iampossible mall site, we have 10 different pillars, you know. And again, those 10 pillars were something that when, created the site that, I had in mind. It may not apply to you. Maybe it's 3 pillars. Maybe it's 20, you know, but it's a framework. So everything we're sharing with you is a framework. You then can, you know, look at how to apply it to your life. And just one last point, because this is really, actually it's iamwell.iampossible. Yeah. It's the website,
Say that
not
again.
the email. Yeah, it's the iamwell.iampossiblemall.com. So change the at to a period. That's all.
Oh,
Yeah. The other thing that I see too, and I don't know if this is just again the realization that we are being conditioned and we're being dumbed down. You know, Coach Mitchell, we do our recipes on Wellness Wednesday, and when I come across certain sites who people again are sharing recipes, and sometimes they don't give the exact recipe. They show you all the
yeah.
ingredients. Yeah. And some people get indignant. Well, why don't you show the recipe? They don't have to show you the recipe. They showed you the ingredients. Go with it. Try to come up with your
Right. Do
own.
some research on your own.
Yes, and I think that's part of the dumbing down process that people act as if they are helpless, even when they're given the things that they need.
But that just goes to show the mindset of a lot of individuals is that they want everything handed to them without having to do the work. That's why
Mhm.
you have such a great percentage of obesity in this country because they
Mhm.
want something quick, fast, down and dirty.
Mhm.
They want a quick fix versus putting in the effort, putting in the time,
Yes. Mhm.
and doing their own research. So that's a byproduct of how the microwave society and the dumbing down of having things at our fingertips has really caused humanity to fall short in the area of really critical thinking.
Critical thinking. And again, if it comes back to tie it back into focus, let's think about that for a second. Huh? We're in a society where we have so many things at our fingertips. Mhm. We have all of basically pretty much all of the knowledge of humanity at our fingertips. I mean, one could never go through all of the knowledge or content on the internet. You know what? There are YouTube has pretty much every do-it-yourself, you know, type of video out there. We don't have to run to the library like we did when we were, you know, younger. Everything's right there. I mean, and now you can order your food. You can do everything at your fingertips. We're able to cook our food again,
Mm-hmm.
microwavable. Though that there are some, when it comes to health, that may not be the best idea. But for the most part, for convenience, it's there. We have all of these things, yet we say we don't have time.
Yeah, I
How is
think
that
we
possible?
spend. I found this diagram on LinkedIn, and I'm not sure if it came from Psychology Today or one of the brain groups on LinkedIn, but it was a diagram of the comfort zone, and it had 4 different zones, and the nucleus was the comfort zone. That's where most people
Mm,
stay. and it's low risk, of course, low reward.
Hmm.
And then it had the fear zone, where people really desire to be moved out of their comfort zone, but they have low self-confidence and they are affected and impacted by other people's opinions and they fear that judgment, right? And then you have the learning zone, where you're facing, people are taking challenges head on and they're able to problem solve and they look at issues in life as they come, and they are able to learn from whatever challenges and mistakes that they make, acquire new skill or new mindset towards life. And then there's the growth zone, where
Mm.
people are finding purpose. They're striving to live their dreams. They are able to goal set. They set new goals. It's not, I achieved what I set out to do. I got my master's. I don't have to read again. I don't have to study another book. Or I opened a business 30 years ago. I don't ever have to do that again because I checked it off my list, or whatever it might be. But in that growth zone, you're always learning, you're always growing, you're always
Hmm.
striving for the next level, and you're able to conquer your objectives. And when I saw that, I just thought that is just so apropos to how we should live our lives. Even if we are in, at some point in time in our lives, in that comfort zone, we should stay there. We shouldn't stay
Absolutely.
there. And we should always be in that growth zone. And the other three zones should be seasons, but that growth
Mm.
zone should be a part of how we live our lives,
Hmm.
constantly striving to be better, to do better, not just to acquire stuff, but to grow within ourselves.
Mm.
So I think that comfort zone, you should always strive to walk out of it and through those other zones to get to that growth zone on a constant, consistent basis.
You said two things that I just like to follow up on. The growth zone. There's a whole framework. You know, where they refer to the growth mindset versus the fixed mindset. You can Google it, and you'll will see the you know uh, the attributes or the habits or the characteristics of somebody with a growth mindset versus someone with a fixed mindset. Mhm. I would highly recommend, for those listening, to just Google it. I cannot remember the woman's name who uh, came up with the concept, but it's been used by corporations, by colleges. It's worth looking at. I've even used it in uh, training. The other thing too, you stress the point of not really focusing on the physical. And that's also key, because when we start out young, it is about the physical, it's about the material. You know what? We focus on job and career most often for what it may allow us to purchase that is physical, the materialistic thing. I heard that there was a study done that most people are choosing to become, going into, become lawyers, even though supposedly, and these are not my words, just again, uh, regurgitating what I heard, is that lawyers have, like 50% of lawyers tend to suffer from depression. Mhm. But yet people are still going into that field because in their mind, they believe that it is going to produce them the income.
It's going to afford
It's
them
going
the
to afford them
yes.
it, yes. And that's unfortunate because there's a saying, oh, I'm going to something I really don't want to. I'm going into a career where there's a high rate of depression. For what? For the money? Now, granted, I, I get it. Like I said, when you start now, that's where your focus is. But as you get older, the wisdom says, and the focus should never be on anything physical, because anything physical is temporary. Mhm.
That's right.
Everything physical is temporary, including you, including me. So you want to begin looking at the things that are more meaningful, the things that will outlast you, which again, your impact on other people's lives. Mhm. Uh, you know, your legacy. And I've heard people say, "Oh, I don't care about my legacy." Okay, fine. Uh, but you want to begin looking at, even the concept of, uh, your emotions. Which they say the ultimate emotion is love. If you're able to, focus on that, then you're more likely to leave something behind after you're gone. Mhm. Your ideas. Well, are you focusing on that? Your creativity. Those are all things that may lead to physical, but they're not physical. So you really want to take time to just kind of think about, yeah, where's your focus on a day-to-day level? Are you just going through the motions? You know, are you willing to focus on you? And that's an important thing right there. Focusing on your self-care, not focusing on you from a selfish perspective, but you do have to put your mask on before you could put, someone else's mask on. So are you even focusing on you? Hmm? Or again, are you just going through the motions each and every day and just existing? You're basically becoming a robot. Hmm.
Yep. And I
Yep,
think
and I
that
think that
if
if
we really cultivated and maintain a focus on priorities and not get sidetracked by the distractions. And I'm not saying, take a break, not to take a break here and there, because working incessantly is a burnout. It will
Mhm.
burn you out, and you still are not going to be able to show up for you if
Mhm.
your health, your mental health, your physical health, you're just broken. So you have to take periods of rest. That we have to, as humans, we have to do that. But focus, try to cultivate and maintain a holistic perspective of life and put your priorities in order. Because once your
Mhm.
priorities are in order and you have a definitive intention on where it is you want to go, you can take a rest, a break, and you're not going to get um, you're not going to get distracted
Not get
by
derailed.
the allure of just the superfluous things that are happening in this world.
Mhm.
So I think that
And
is a key a key component, is just make sure that you set priorities, healthy boundaries, because the digital world, that realm, can suck you in, and before you
Mhm.
know it, you're down the rabbit hole in this abyss of digital
Delusion.
destruction and distractions.
Mhm. Mhm. And again, keyword, once you define what you want or what you want to experience, who you want to be, that will begin to, create the framework for your focus. And then, like I said, your discipline is going to keep you moving through that. And yes, you'll take the breaks, but guess what? The breaks or the rest is part of the plan, as opposed to just, nah, I'm not doing anything today. No, you'll have the awareness to say, I need to take a break. Because part of being focused, like I said, a huge part of that is your self care. And self
Absolutely.
care is knowing when to take a break. And you'll even be more
Exactly.
focused about what you do during that break. Mhm. Mhm.
Yep.
Uh, you'll stay away from, like, a classic example is when you become really focused, say, about your health and you take a break, you're less likely to do something that's going to be totally against your journey. You know what? Yeah, you might, like say some dietary plans will say, oh, you should have a cheat day. Hmm? Well, you know what? When you're really on the journey, like say, know thyself, you know that you possibly can't do a cheat day because your focus is, if I do that cheat day, I'm going to slide further down. My focus is I'm going in this direction. If I deviate, I run the risk of total derailment because you know yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So no, yeah, I want a snack. Yeah, I guess I have to do celery and peanut butter, or as opposed to peanut butter cookies. Hmm? You'll walk into stores, and I've done this. Coach. I'll go into a store and I'll even ask. You know what? You got anything that resembles healthiness? You know, and sometimes they're like, no. Then I have to suck it up. And I eat anything. Mhm. Because the choice is just like, I don't want that feeling. Because I
Yeah.
know if I eat that pack of cookies, I know how it's going to make me feel. And I don't want that feeling anymore. Mhm. So that's again part of being focused. Mhm.
Yep. And, and you're right. And I think, you summed it up well that, being focused is not about resisting the distractions, but about being conscious about our decisions and where we focus our energy on, right?
Yes. Mhm.
And if we craft our days around focusing on being intentional and living with purpose and fulfillment, then we can definitely live a life that is more fulfilling
Yes.
because we are walking with intention and distractions will not throw us off course.
Mhm. So the other tip I would give you, for me, I suggest to write out a vision for yourself. And the first draft, don't worry about structure, just write. However you see your life. You go back on the second draft, third draft, fourth. There's no limit to how many rewrites you have to do, and you begin to put structure to it. First, you know uh, just write it out. And the other thing is, like I said, you just start. You begin to live it. Mhm. And you focus on the progress, not the perfection. As I said, if you can't do, you know what, seven of the recommendations someone may give you, you know what, do three, do two, do one. Mhm. No, you just want to get started, and you will build up everything you need. Because that's the beauty. Some of you may have heard me talk about, if you look at nature as the blueprint, and we are an extension of nature, and nature is an extension of us. No, we're connected. And one of the things that I share when I communicate with people uh, on, say, like gardening platforms, the one thing that I love and I'm amazed by, the resiliency of nature. All right, nature is focused on one thing. Major focus is growth, and nature will try to grow no matter what. Mhm. And trust me, I've learned that. All right, that things have grown. And Coach Mitch, you see me, let's see this stem right here that I just cut off. Stick it in some water. Come back a couple days later, new roots. Some cases, new leaves, ready to be planted again. So we have that same ability, innate ability within us. So if we tap into it, it's there, but it requires focus. It's just not going to happen. You yeah, it's not going to happen unless you become intentional about what you want, who you want to become. and they go hand in hand.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yep. And I
So,
Yep.
really
And
like
I
the
really like
comfort zone
the comfort
approach. If you find yourself
zone.
living low risk, low reward, or being safe in that space, ask yourself why. Ask yourself, are you living in fear of someone else's judgments on, what it is that you can and or cannot do? Are they imposing that
mhm,
negativity on you? Are you learning? Are you really striving to learn something new, a new way of doing things, a new way of living, a new approach? Are you growing? Are you really growing? Are you setting goals? Are you checking them off, or are you just existing? But find where you are in that diagram of zones: comfort, fear, learning, and growth. But wherever you are in that diagram, make sure you're continuously moving. Make sure
mhm.
you're continuously moving and growing. And that's all I have. And understand and know that we live these principles every day.
Mhm.
Every day. We try to live these principles every day. We're not perfect. There are times when I want to take a day and just rest all day. But even in those days that I'm resting, I'm still working. If I have my phone, I'm not just scrolling, I'm creating something. I'm either
Mhm.
writing poetry to decompress, I'm creating word clouds because I have another book in me that I have to get out. But I'm constantly working, but my body, my physical body needs to just be still, decompress so that I can get back up and do it again, moving towards hopefully where I think is a successful platform. So, Coach, any last words for our listeners?
But yes, just want to say, you know what? One of the things you've heard me say before is that stagnation is not natural. Nothing in the universe is stagnant, not even your body. Even when you sit still, the cells in your body are moving. The energy in your body is moving. But you as a whole, you on the other hand, you have the choice, and you don't want to choose to be stagnant at any point in your life, regardless of the circumstances. Because like I said, you have access to information. There's free content. You should be learning something every opportunity that you can. You know? So
Absolutely.
just want to leave you with that. That again, stagnation is not natural. So keep moving, keep growing.
Keep moving, keep growing. Good evening, Annie. Thank you for joining us. On that note, remember, if you do not start now, there will be no next. Annie, I hope you hit the replay. For those who come in on the replay, leave us a comment. Let us know what you think and let us know how you are moving with intention and focusing on your long-term goals. I'm Coach Mitchell.
And I'm Coach Darren.
Have a wonderful evening.
And see you tomorrow night.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yes, join us tomorrow night at 8 p.m. for Inside Outside on Wellness Wednesday, where we will definitely be bringing you some tips on some healthy living and hopefully a great recipe that you will try that will be healthy and wholesome for your physical being. So join us tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Inside Outside on Wellness Wednesday. Have a great evening.